The Trump administration has been rocked with scandal after scandal, so much so that it is difficult to keep up with them all. It was only a couple of weeks ago that we were talking about Pete Hegseth texting war plans, and Donald Trump is so incompetent that somehow that is out of the news cycle because we were talking about the stupidest trade war in history. But there is one scandal that stands out in terms of Donald Trump's selfishness and just how little he cares about anyone else, that Jasmine Crockett made sure got the attention it deserved, and she did so before Congress. And we are going to get into it all and how upset it is making Donald Trump. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way, and it really does mean a lot to me. Now, Jasmine Crockett today was speaking in the DOJ subcommittee, the most useless subcommittee we have in Congress because it's run by Marjorie Taylor Greene, but Jasmine Crockett got some value out of it when she delivered this brutal call out of Donald Trump's most recent scandal. Let's take a look.
I'll recognize Ms. Crockett from Texas for 5 minutes.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. And I can tell you one thing that is crumbling for the city of D.C. was that continuing resolution that defunded approximately $1 billion from them. But I will focus on today's hearing. The Republicans' recklessness and chaotic approach to reducing the size of government has shown us what we've already known. Concepts of a plan don't work. This is the committee's fourth hearing, and still no one from the so-called Department of Government Efficiency has testified before this committee about their plans to break the federal government, because as it turns out, breaking the federal government doesn't just hurt people you don't like. It's not just going to be Democrats who miss out on Medicaid, Medicare, and Social Security, or only Democratic veterans who will miss out on their VA benefits. Their approach will negatively impact all Americans. So it's unfortunate that Republicans have taken a seemingly bipartisan issue and included it as part of their scam to subsidize tax giveaway for billionaires. They haven't proposed anything that will improve the efficiency of the government. Instead, they have put the country on a path to a recession and implemented the largest tax increase on Americans in decades through Trump's tariffs. This hearing is their latest attempt to try to convince the American people that dismantling public-facing agencies will somehow improve government efficiency. Let me tell you, it won't. There's nothing efficient about terminating leases for IRS taxpayer assistance centers during tax season, nor dismantling farmers' support offices in rural communities while farmers are trying to survive Trump's tariffs. And just like their trade policy, there isn't any logic or strategy behind the Trump administration's reductions in force or accelerated disposal of federally owned property. It has been discussed that managing federal property has been on GAO's high-risk list for more than 2 decades. Currently, GAO has almost 60 recommendations that the administration could fully implement, but decided to ignore. And I'm going to veer off for 2 seconds because all I kept hearing was fire. Fire, fire, fire is what I heard. And as I heard fire, it seems like we are talking about an administration that has been hell-bent on firing government workers. They are hell-bent on engaging in fire sales of our government buildings. And while we are at it, they are lighting the Social Security on fire, Medicaid on fire, Medicare on fire, 401ks on fire, Department of Education on fire. And instead, what we need to light on fire are Trump's tariffs. In fact, we could probably go a little bit further and fire this incompetent administration. But if we are going to talk about efficiency and worry about some solar paneled whatevers, let's talk about the fact that as of March 30th, Trump's golfing has cost us approximately $26 million. And the last time I checked, we're not getting anything in return for that. So I will get back on my remarks, but I just wanted to point out that maybe we need to talk about the president and his golfing habits. In fact, he decided that he was going to golf as the markets were tanking. He decided he was going to golf instead of receiving 4 heroes who died serving this country. He has decided that he wanted to play games while the rest of us are really trying to make sure that we can serve the American people. So, Mr. Maroney, you were quoted in the New York Times article dated March 17th, stating that it is important for officials to have a plan to generate the most savings, and that, quote, all of these moving parts point to the need for some deliberate planning. Did the administration consult with GAO regarding their plans to dispose of hundreds of federally owned buildings?
No.
In your testimony, you highlight that one of the core issues associated with managing federal property is the lack of reliable data to support decision-making. Is that correct?
Yes.
Would reducing GSA's workforce by 50% improve data gathering and analysis?
I cannot say they're
That's
not
perfectly
perfect.
fine. We know that we need experts and not idiots, but Mr. Kendall, we will move on. In your written testimony, you state some of the actions of this administration suggest that the administration is not following a strategy designed to save taxpayer money and that the administration seems to ignore agency's mission integrity. Why do you think that?
In the list
You got
of
20 seconds.
in the
I'm
list
giving
of
it to you.
projects, there were a couple score Social Security offices, IRS, taxpayer service offices, which those agencies, those end user agencies wanted, and yet the administration is canceling those leases. So it does imperil mission accomplishment.
Thank you so much. Oh, you're back.
Donald Trump spent not just the weekend, but Thursday and Friday as well, golfing. As the stock market tanked, as the family members of those who gave their lives serving our country grieved, Donald Trump abandoned them, didn't seem to care, wanted to spend all his time with the Saudis and a bunch of rich golfers at the tournament at his course in Florida. That is what he was focused on. And the mainstream media barely covered it. Not a shock there. It's why it's so important that we build out independent media and that our members of Congress, like Jasmine Crockett, are unafraid to call out the disgusting actions of Donald Trump. But this is who he is. He does not care about anyone else. This is just representative of the larger picture we have always seen. Could not give any attention to the problems he has caused. Someone who is Jim McGovern, who went off on Donald Trump's tariffs in this clip right here.
And let me be blunt. It's frustrating to be here today. To have a hearing on this topic at this moment, I think, is a colossal disappointment. I think it's an insult to America's farmers and ranchers, an insult to hungry families, and frankly, given what is happening in the world right now, an insult to the intelligence of anyone with a functioning brain. Where's our hearing on tariffs, Mr. Chairman? Where's our hearing on how these tariffs are going to cost farmers and ranchers billions in lost sales? Where's our hearings on how the Secretary of Agriculture went on TV this weekend and couldn't explain why we're slapping tariffs on uninhabited islands in the middle of the ocean? I mean, this stuff is nuts. Where's our hearing on how Trump and Elon Musk are shutting down the USDA phone lines, firing the staff that farmers rely on for help, and gutting the programs that connect local farms to local schools? Where's our hearing on how food prices are about to go through the roof? This administration went from promising lower prices and a better economy to promising higher prices and a recession. And just when you think it couldn't get more out of touch, they're cutting SNAP to pay for tax breaks for Trump and his billionaire buddies. So let me get this straight. You guys tank the economy, you drive up food prices, and your solution is to cut food assistance for people who already struggle to afford food? Who the hell thought that was a good idea? I mean, honestly, I'd like to meet them just so I could ask them what's wrong with them. This is literally trying to sabotage our country. You guys are setting the house on fire and slashing the fire department's budget at the same time. It is insane. And if I have to sit through one more Republican lecture about how SNAP discourages work, I might lose it. This is grade A, weapons grade stupidity. It's a lie. It was a lie the first time you said it, and it'll still be a lie the millionth time. Now, let me break it down for folks at home. Most people on SNAP are kids, senior citizens, and people with disabilities. They cannot work, and we don't expect them to. Should we repeal the child labor laws? Send grandma back to the factory? And of the people who can work, the vast majority already do. So spare us the condescending talk about the dignity of work. If you guys cared about that, you'd be raising the minimum wage. But you don't. You care about demonizing poor people to score political points. And you guys can go right ahead and do that, but don't expect the rest of us to play along. And before you guys all pull out your Heritage Foundation talking points on work requirements, I just want to say to everyone watching at home, there are already very strict work requirements in SNAP and time limits for able-bodied adults. Look it up. It's the law. And by the way, SNAP benefits are paltry. We're talking $2 per meal. That's what it is now. You guys want to cut the program by $230 billion. You want to even lower that. But most of you spent more on your coffee this morning. Now, call me radical, but I don't think it's morally right to slash a food benefit that costs a sliver of the federal budget while farmers get hammered and food prices go through the roof. So if we want to talk about government waste, let's talk about the billions in tax breaks for billionaires. Let's talk about big oil subsidies. Let's talk about the Pentagon losing track of trillions. But this hearing, this bizarre obsession with punishing hungry people while ignoring the crisis facing farmers, it's a bad faith, tone-deaf, mean-spirited shtick to get you a clip on right-wing talk radio, and I'm not here for it. So shame on this committee and shame on Republicans. Ms. Schanzenbach, I'm short on time, but I have a few yes or no questions. First, are there already strict work requirements and time limits in SNAP?
Yes.
Will people be paying higher prices for food because of Trump's absurd trade war?
Yes.
And are current SNAP benefits enough to cover the cost of a meal for hungry families?
No.
I mean, and again, we're talking about a reconciliation bill coming up to cut the program by $230 billion. So that $2 per meal benefit that I just mentioned probably goes down to about $1.60. I mean, how the hell is people supposed to live on that and feed their kids and feed their families? For those who think that cuts in SNAP are a good idea, that putting more restrictions on poor people trying to feed their families is a good idea, let me make a suggestion. Stop watching so much Fox News, stop listening to right-wing think tanks, and maybe start talking to people who are on the benefit, who are struggling to basically make ends meet and to feed their families. And with that, I yield back my time.
Now, Jim McGovern previously spoke about Donald Trump's attacks on our farmers in a takedown about USAID that we've played a couple of times on this show. And it's so important that we continue to come back to that as Donald Trump pushes this lie about what the purpose of his tariffs are, saying it's about farmers or it's about manufacturing, it's about American jobs. These are things that Donald Trump has taken away investment from. He has no real plan, no real strategy. Tariffs are about a word that Donald Trump likes, letting him say it, and putting as much power as possible into his hands. That's what it's about. It is about the corruption that can come out of Donald Trump controlling American markets, who can come begging, groveling to him for his own personal benefit. There's no deal-making happening with the rest of the world. At home, though, business leaders with Trump, certainly. It's all about enriching himself. It's all about him, always. And we're calling that out on the show. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video. And if you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.